Today I thought I would talk about how much savings do you need, and as most things with finance, it depends. It depends on a number of things. So I had such an interesting call earlier today with a woman who wanted to talk about transitioning from her corporate job to being self-employed. And as the discussion progressed, we really came to the question of what do you need to feel safe? And what do you need, how much safety do you need in order to be able to take a risk? And what else about this? What else is holding you back? Because I've gotten asked that question a lot before, of how to make a transition plan from corporate to self-employment. And I'm a big fan of buffers, of making savings buffers, and also as much as you can kind of scaling down with employment as you scale up with self-employment, if possible. If your corporate job is willing to let you do some flex time, some work from home time, some part-time work, or transition to being a contract laborer for your current employer, that always seems like a really great transition tactic to take if you're able to. Not all employers will do it, obviously, but some will. For some, it actually saves them money because it takes you off the payroll and off of the benefits, but they could still pay you project by project being an independent contractor. So that's something I like to look into for people, when and if that's possible. It's not possible with all employers, of course. But another thing is creating a savings buffer so that you don't have a sudden cliff that you fall off of in terms of income as you're transitioning, and also trying to build up your clientele for your self-employment business at the same time. The curious thing that came up with the woman I was talking to today was that she was actually in fantastic financial shape. She had a very handsome salary from her current position, which I could see made it really hard to leave, along with a 401k match and benefits, health insurance, all of that. And then the surprising thing was she also had very little debt, no consumer credit card debt, just some mortgage and car payment debt, which was at a very good rate. And she had a lot of savings. For emergency fund, I usually talk to people about doing 3 to 6 months if you don't have kids, 6 to 12 months if you do. If you have 2 salaries and kids and make a good amount of money above what you spend each month, then maybe 3 to 6 months is okay still. And again, if you have extenuating circumstances, it kind of depends. It depends what you need to feel safe. It depends how stable or unstable your current job is, your current income, a lot of things like that. But she actually had given her just basic needs each month close to 5 years worth of savings, which I thought was super impressive. So then it really came down to talking about what do you really want and what do you need to feel in order to take this jump. So I would love to talk to you guys about this, about what feels safe to you in terms of finances. How much savings do you feel like you need? When you have things like mortgages and kids, and especially if you have tuition for private schools or things like that, or kids with special needs like I do who have a lot of extra expenses, I think in those situations a lot of us feel like we need a lot of extra padding, a lot of extra buffer in our savings accounts. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, how much savings do you need to feel safe? What are your savings goals? And if you have more than just 3 to 6 months worth of savings in an emergency fund, what are the savings for? What are they going towards? Because that was another thing I asked the woman that I was speaking to today is, what is that money for? If you have your retirement accounts, you contributed in them, that's all good. What is that money for, and how much would you really feel safe? So I kind of even went to extremes. I was like, okay, if you had $1 million in savings right now, would you feel safe? Would that be enough? Would you feel okay leaving the job no matter what happened with your self-employment? And she said yes. So then I went down, well, what about 500,000? And it ended up not even being about the numbers in the end. It ended up, I felt like I was digging for something much deeper, but it just got me thinking a lot about how much do we all need to feel safe and happy. It's not always about safety. Sometimes it's just about happiness. A lot of us get a lot of consumer debt and get very focused on paying debt, which we should. We should, really focus on paying down the high interest debt for sure. But I think it's also at the same time important to start building up savings even while we're paying the debt down, so that the next big thing that happens, we don't have to put it straight back on the credit card. So that was really my thoughts with this today. Yeah, it really depends on your life situation. Yeah, I think savings is important. I think in America, more than a lot of other places, we live on debt quite a lot. So getting the savings habit is good. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.